Hello, everyone, and welcome to BodyBags. I'll be your reviewer for today. I'm Lonnie from Tats. And just real quick, I'm sure you guys already know this. All the other guys before me have already mentioned it. We're doing a theme week. The theme week is absence of color, where we take a movie, we take the color out of it, and then we watch it and try to get a new perspective on it. There you go. You're up to speed. All right. So you already know this. So I just wanted to hurry up and get that out of the way. So yeah. This was kind of tricky. I was trying to think about which one I wanted to do, and um, I can think of a couple of, like honorable mentions. Personally, I think Salem's Lot would be a really good one to watch in black and white. The 1979 Salem's Lot. Let's see here. Some of Tim Burton's stuff, like Dark Shadows. Dark Shadows actually looks really good in black and white, and it kind of like, you watch it in black and white, almost like it blends into the old TV show, which I think looks really good. Certain films of Tim Burton's, like Beetlejuice, I don't recommend in black and white. I think, something like that, you really need the color aspect. Anyway, why am I talking about that? The movie that I really need to be talking about is from 1972, written and directed by, well, co-written and directed by the late great Bob Clark, who made, three excellent horror films, including this one, Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things from 1972. And, sorry, just trying to, that's the thing, it's like, that's the problem. I was trying to figure out how I want to hold this because, the slipcover is awesome on this thing. But from 1982, and then he had made two other really good horror classics, Death Dream and Black Christmas, which, I'm sure you all remember. But anyway, so yeah, this is the one that I decided I wanted to go with. And this is a movie that I admit, I had a little bit of a turbulent past because I remember this was years ago, back in the VHS days. And, I don't know if you guys remember back when we still had Suncoast video stores, where you could go in, you could actually buy, like movies on VHS. And, some were pretty expensive, but, you could get some for, a relatively decent price. And I remember reading the pages of Fangoria, everybody had kept talking about what a cult film, what a cult classic Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things is. And I remember seeing the VHS tape there, and I was like, I'm going to go ahead and buy it because I want to see it. So I bought the tape, got home, and sat down. I was like, I started to watch it, and I was watching it, and I was watching it, and holy cow, I was not expecting for almost an hour of buildup in this movie. The plot is very, very dirt simple. Okay, you have Alan, played by Alan Ormsby. Most of the actors in this film, they go by their characters' names. You have Jeff, who's played by Jeff Gillen, who appeared in he played Santa Claus in Bob Clark's Christmas Story, but he also co-directed Deranged with Alan Ormsby. Alan's wife Anya Ormsby. Who else is in this? Do they have the cast list on here? No. Oh, wait a minute. There it is. Yeah, Alan Ormsby, Valerie Mamches. Sorry if I mispronounce it. Paul Cronin, Jane Daly. Jane Daly also appeared in Death Dream. And so anyway, so Alan, he takes what he calls his children. Why you have children? He takes his children to this small island that's off the coast of Florida. And this island, according to Alan, has a reputation. The island is more or less, it's a cemetery. It's a cemetery island where it's, there's maybe like a little cabin where, the groundskeeper stays. But other than that, the whole thing is just all cemetery, pretty much. So Alan goes there. He takes his children there, which actually is more. He's a theater director, and these people are his theater troupe. And kind of like if they want to keep their jobs, that's kind of the thing. They have to put up with him. They have to put up with his crap and everything else. And he's they gotta put up with all his peccadillos and whatever. They have to go along with whatever he wants to do and all this other kind of stuff. So he takes him out to this, cemetery island, and he's got a chest, and it turns out the whole idea is that he wants to perform basically a satanic ritual, which will bring the dead back to life. And so they get there, and of course, in one thing you got to know about Bob Clark is pretty much the guy had a hell of a sense of humor. I mean, obviously, you know that. If you watch Porky's 2, Christmas Story, My Summer Story, Baby Geniuses, a lot of this stuff that he did, From the Hip, all this stuff that he did, Bob Clark had a hell of a sense of humor. And it even carried over into his horror films as well. And this movie is no exception. There is a lot of humor in this movie. There's a lot of banter back and forth between the characters, which does make up for about the first hour of the movie almost. So they get there at this island, and they start doing their thing. And it turns out that Alan is just kind of like playing jokes on, the people left and right. He has these two characters that are nowadays, yeah, I hate to say it, before left liberals would flip their wigs on this, because you have these two gay characters on there. Was it Emerson and Roy? And these characters are very, very what would now be considered stereotypical gay characters. But if I remember from the bonus features, I think they did say that that at least one of those actors was actually gay, was actually very, very gay, had feminine qualities and things like this. So he wasn't really acting; he was just being himself, supposedly. But nowadays, I think a lot of people would be raising hell about this, saying, "Oh my God, oh it's so offensive. Oh, these characters are gay stereotypes and everything else," even if the actors playing them were gay. But anyway, so he keeps he has these two dressed up as zombies, and they're like jumping out, scaring him, and all this other kind of stuff, and so then they decide that they finally it's like, okay, enough with the bull crap, let's get on with this. And the whole idea is, he's they take out this corpse named Orville, and the idea is that Alan wants to use this corpse Orville to basically be kind of a zombie slave. And this is kind of a mix. There's kind of a mix between a throw. Yes, it definitely, they made no bones about it. They said the movie definitely was inspired by Night of the Living Dead. It definitely was, a cashing on what Romero had done and things like this. But also at the same time, too, it was a throwback to like the old zombie movies where, the plot usually involved some kind of a satanic or a voodoo ritual where the dead would be brought back to life, and they would basically be used as servants and things. So you got that kind of like that combination of both kind of old storylines that deals with zombies. And so they do, so Alan does this, he does this ritual and everything else, and it doesn't seem like it's working. And so everybody kind of starts, just goofing on him, and everybody just kind of, call him out and kind of, taking shots at him and stuff. And Valerie, Alan and Valerie, these two, I mean, oh my God, these two look like they're ready to spar at any minute. It's like they tolerate each other, but my God, do they hate each other, And so Valerie, she decides, she's gonna, do like a little performance where basically she's going to insult Satan and put him down and call him names and things like this, which of course leads to really, really bad consequences for the rest of the characters when the dead actually do start to rise from their graves and take revenge. And other than that, I'm going to leave it at that. I don't want to tell you how the story ends. Chances are you probably already know, but if you're watching this, you've probably already seen the movie a number of times, or at least once. But anyway, so yeah, I remember when I first tried to watch this on VHS, I was getting almost an hour in, and I was just like, oh my God, nothing is going on. It's like, I think it was, kind of the start of, people starting to have, very small attention spans, I guess, because oh man, I can't get through this, it's like, this is too much. So I turned it off. And then some time went by, and I still kept the tape. I didn't get rid of the VHS tape. And then I heard some more of people going on and on about what a great movie this was and what a cult film it was. And then I was like, you know what, I'm going to put the tape, I didn't rewind it. I was just like, you know what, I'm going to put the tape in. I'm just going to pick up where I left off. And I'm going to forward to, let's get to the zombie action. And then so I did, and everything. It's like, okay, this looks like be where the zombies start to come in. And then they come in, and it's like, wow. And it's like, you know what? After I watched that the first time, my attitude on this movie completely changed. Excuse me. Because then it dawned on me, it's like, you know what? Yes, this movie, there's almost an hour of buildup, but man, the payoff is totally worth it. If you're a zombie movie fan, and this movie, it's like when it gets to the part where the zombies come out of the grave and they're coming after, coming after the theater troupe and everything else. It's like, oh man, it actually gets genuinely scary. Some of the makeup effects on some of these zombies is actually, let's see if you can see that there, like right there. Some of these zombies look really genuinely creepy and all this other, and it just ends up taking on a completely different tone and completely different atmosphere. And yes, it's a zombie movie, so it's very similar. A lot of the action that the characters are doing, a lot of the dialogue and everything, it seems very George Romero like, and all this other kind of stuff. But still, honestly, I think it's totally worth it, and it ended up being a really really good little flick. And when I started talking with Rob and Jason and Glenn, we started talking about stuff like watching movies in black and white and everything. All of a sudden, this movie popped up into my head. And I was like, you know what? I'm willing to bet this has probably got to be a movie that's going to look really, really good in black and white. So I put the movie on, removed all the color, adjusted the contrast just a little bit. And wow, man, I'm not joking. This could easily be like it it's hard to explain. It's like the story, the pacing, the acting and everything else. It's like watching a 1950s or 1960s film. And it's interesting the way it's done. And it's like it's slow. I mean, okay, go back and like look at a lot of old movies from the 50s and 60s, even like some old like Roger Corman movies or something like that. You go and watch them, it's like it's a lot of movies from back in the 50s and 60s, that's kind of the way they were done. Movies that, a lot of build up and then they don't really pay off until like the last, 20-25 minutes of movie. And this feels exactly like an old film, and if and I strongly, strongly recommend if you got this movie, take this bad boy, put it on, take the color, take the color off, maybe adjust the contrast just a little bit so you get some of that nice kind of grainy look to it. Oh my God, it really is. You're gonna think like you could really sit here and watch this on a bill with other zombie movies. You could watch this with like King of the Zombies, or you could watch it with Night of the Living Dead, or something like that. You could watch this with those kind of old black and white white zombie, and stuff like that. You watch this on a par with those old movies, and this movie would fit right in, and it would not feel like. It really, honestly, would not feel like a 1970s movie. It would feel more like an older film. And like I said, you can sit there and watch this on a par with old zombie movies, old black and white zombie movies, and oh my God, you could not tell the difference between this and White Zombie and King of the Zombies and Revolt of the Zombies and Night of the Living Dead and on and on. So yeah, I strongly recommend if you have this movie and if you're really wanting a good experience and something that definitely gives you a feel of like an old film, something that was made like later on, but feels very old the way it's done. Yeah, definitely like Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. I strongly recommend, and I really think it's a perfect choice. I think you're really going to be delighted by it, especially if you love and are a fan of the old like 1950s, even back to the 1940s, zombie movies. Like I said, some of those old films and stuff. It's like check this out in black and white, and I think I think you might agree with me that this is really going to be an interesting, an interesting approach. I'm not saying don't watch it in color. It looks great in color and everything else, but oh damn, yeah, like this is something you really want to take a chance on. Trust me, I promise you, it'd be worth it. So anyway, that's about it. So if anybody took the time to watch this, I thank you for doing it, and I appreciate you for doing it. I honestly hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave it a like. If you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe to the BodyBags channel. We have a different reviewer, one for every day of the week. I'm the Saturday reviewer. Man, we got a bunch of great guys. We got a bunch of great stuff going on. And guess what? Today, it's now December 31st. So, tomorrow, the beginning of 2023. Here we are already. Wow. Who would have thought? But anyway, so in the words of the, excellent Eddie Murphy, Merry New Year! You want some beef jerky? No. Anyway, though, have a wonderful New Year's. Everybody, please stay safe. Please take care of yourselves. Have a good time. Not too much of a good time, but have a good time. And yeah, thank you all for sticking with us. Thank you all for watching and supporting us. And I think the only thing I can left to say is see you next year.